Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking something absolutely fascinating that's happening right now in the gig economy. We're going to dissect exactly how a local challenger brand called ServeSprint is using what they call an agitation playbook to disrupt those massive, multi-million-dollar Silicon Valley lead generation giants. Honestly, whether you're a marketer, a startup founder, or just someone who uses these service apps to find a plumber, this strategy is literally a masterclass in disruption. If you've ever wondered how a local operator actually takes on the industry Goliaths using nothing but plain-spoken marketing copy and a deep, empathetic understanding of their user, well, this is exactly how it's done.
To really get why this playbook works so incredibly well, you have to start with the pain. Listen to this real, visceral war story from a local handyman. Over $1,000 gone to a lead app in 90 days. Want to guess how many turned into actual paying jobs? 2. Man, you could just feel the frustration dripping off those words, right? This immediately establishes the gritty reality of the modern contractor's dilemma. They are burning through their hard-earned cash just for the mere chance to work. It's not just a line item on a spreadsheet, it's a deeply emotional toll when you feel like the entire system is rigged against your survival.
And the root of all that frustration, it boils down to the absolute enemy of this marketing playbook, the shared lead. This is when a platform takes the exact same customer contact info and sells it to 5 or sometimes even 12 different service professionals all at the exact same time. So these operators aren't just paying to acquire a new customer, they're essentially being forced to pay an entry fee just to run a race against each other. It's a systemic model that leaves local pros feeling completely burned, and it shatters the trust between the platform and the worker right out of the gate.
So how in the world does ServeSprint combat this Goliath? Well, they definitely don't do it with slick corporate campaigns or massive ad budgets. Instead, they focus entirely on finding what they call the operator's cargo van voice. The marketing copy drafts aren't written in some fancy boardroom or sanitized by an out-of-touch corporate department. It is highly intentional. It's written to sound exactly like an operator on the ground in Utah County talking directly to his peers. And psychologically, this cuts right through the noise because it doesn't sound like a pitch at all. It sounds like commiseration. It builds immediate, real rapport.
Now, what's really interesting here is the total contrast in the messaging. On one side, you've got standard ad speak. You know the words revolutionize, seamless, leverage. Local operators ignore this instantly because it sounds like literally every other promoted post they scroll past. But on the flip side, you have the plain-spoken operator voice. It relies on real, tangible specifics. Wasted gas, burned miles, dead Saturdays. ServeSprint strictly avoids corporate buzzwords because they understand a crucial psychological truth. Peer-to-peer trust is built on a shared reality, not on marketing fluff.
To actually execute this out in the wild, ServeSprint relies heavily on drafting what they call war story posts, which they inject straight into local Facebook groups. Check out this one, tailored specifically for a junk removal pro. Drove 40 minutes across the valley, nobody home. That's gas, that's my Saturday, gone. By grounding their copy in these incredibly specific, relatable complaints, they aren't just acknowledging a lost job. They are validating the loss of the pro's personal time. They're telling the pro, in no uncertain terms, hey, we see exactly what you're going through.
The momentum just keeps building when they target other trades, too. Listen to this Movers War story from another draft. Already booked someone, you all called at the same time. I paid to lose a race I didn't even know I was running. Just imagine that for a second. The deep frustration of paying for a lead that was already dead on arrival. The sheer disbelief of spending your own money just to be rejected. ServeSprint puts that exact frustration into words and posts it right where these pros hang out online. It captures the psychological toll of the shared lead model absolutely perfectly. And it's not just about dead leads, it's also about the sheer quality of the customer on these big apps. Take this landscaper's perspective. Paid premium for a landscaping lead. I paid to be a free estimate. Wow. Anyone who has ever felt commoditized in their profession can completely relate to that feeling. You aren't being valued for your expertise, you're just footing the bill for the privilege of being a bargaining chip. This carefully curated array of war stories perfectly sets the stage for ServeSprint to swoop in and introduce their alternative. Now, you might be wondering, are these just anecdotal complaints from a few grumpy contractors venting online? Actually, no. Let's anchor these emotional stories with some hard data. $7.2 million. That is the exact amount the FTC ordered Angie's lead affiliate, HomeAdvisor, to pay over its lead generation practices in 2023. This isn't just a slap on the wrist fine.
This is incredible validation from the Federal Trade Commission that the cargo van complaints are systemic, legal realities. The pain these operators are feeling, it's recognized at the highest regulatory levels.
These lead apps are charging anywhere from $30 to $100 for a single lead. And get this, that fee applies even when the customer completely ghosts the pro. When you pair that FTC data with these heavy localized fees, it becomes glaringly obvious that this isn't just a minor annoyance. It's an incredibly expensive, systemic hurdle. For a local business that's just out there trying to survive and grow, these unpredictable sunken costs can literally be the difference between making payroll or shutting down the trucks for good.
So rather than just broadcasting these facts into the void, ServeSprint actively pulls the operators into the conversation. Listen to this targeted engagement bait poll. Cleaners in Utah County, what kills your week more? This is the exact strategy they use in local Facebook groups. It's not a sales pitch at all. It's more like a digital campfire. They ask a highly localized question to build a community of shared frustration. They bait operators into commenting and commiserating with one another, generating an authentic dialogue way before they ever hint at a solution.
And this brilliantly illustrates the strategy. The multiple choice options they provide in these polls are agonizingly accurate. Price shoppers wanting a deep clean for $40. No-shows after you blocked out the time. Paying for leads that never reply. Or all of the above, RIP. By framing the problem with just a little touch of dark humor and brutal honesty, they generate massive organic social reach. It gets the entire local community nodding along, venting their frustrations in the comments, and perfectly priming the audience before the actual pitch even happens.
But beyond the public posts, ServeSprint also uses a highly disciplined cold outreach strategy to recruit these pros one by one via direct messages. Their plain-spoken method breaks down into 4 highly effective steps. First, a personal hook that references their specific trade. Second, a bridge explaining what ServeSprint does in really simple terms. Third, a compelling offer. And finally, a soft call to action. That soft CTA is absolutely critical here. When you're dealing with an audience that is already highly skeptical and burned by high-pressure sales from the big apps, offering a low-pressure out is the only way to actually earn a response.
Let's see exactly what that marketing copy draft looks like in practice. Here is their actual DM template. Hey, name, saw you run junk removal. Onboarding licensed and insured pros free during the founding period. Want me to send you the link? That's it. Just a few casual lines. There are no massive link dumps, no giant walls of text, no robotic, dear valued contractor openings. It's a perfect soft sell that completely respects the operator's time while offering an immediate risk-free solution to the exact problems they've been venting about all week.
Once they have the operator's attention, they deliver a final, stark visual contrast using simple comparison charts. They mirror the frustrating status quo directly against their new model. On one side, lead apps, paying per lead, competing with 5 others, and the platform taking a cut. Versus ServeSprint on the other side. One flat price, customers find you direct on a map, and you keep the entire job. It firmly and cleanly separates their model from everything the pros currently despise. It honestly makes the choice feel like an absolute no-brainer.
So the crucial point is, marketing copy and clever comparison charts only go so far. The product actually has to deliver on these promises. Here are the mechanics ServeSprint built to back it all up. A live GPS radar map for customers to see available pros. Direct customer-to-pro messaging to completely eliminate the middleman. A predictable flat monthly subscription instead of stressful per-lead fees. And mandatory 10-digit U.S. phone numbers and city data just to go online. These features are perfectly aligned to maintain the high quality and trust their plain-spoken marketing promises.
And what's truly amazing is how rapidly they are building this backend to protect the operator's revenue. Look at this rapid development timeline from late May. May 28th, 8:39 p.m. They make phone and city data mandatory to block low-quality profiles. The very next morning at 9:10 a.m., they add a customer leads tracking view. And just a few hours later at 12:44 p.m., they deploy Twilio SMS lead alerts so pros instantly know when a real job comes in. Think about that agility for a second. A Silicon Valley giant would take 6 months to deploy a feature that ServeSprint shipped in less than 24 hours to protect their users.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought. By speaking directly to the visceral pain of the operator, using authentic war stories and engagement bait polls, could this hyper-local agitation playbook be the ultimate blueprint for tearing down Silicon Valley's grip on the gig economy? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? When you stop talking like a corporation and start relentlessly solving the actual visceral problems of the worker on the ground, you just might have the power to topple the giants. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to think on that.